It's always good to test your settings once your price plan has actually been completed. Now, if they've shown you how to do it via your website calendars, or you can do it using that preview option, or you can actually go ahead and see it live on your calendar widget. Generally, you would select some chosen date, see that the correct price shows, and whether obviously the minimum and maximum stays are as you would expect. And also the last step would obviously be similar to what we did in the last one. If you go further on, whether the discount would be applied, for example, in that second stage of the booking. Sometimes what happens is that you find pop-ups appear that you were not expecting. So don't worry about these. These are just alerting you to the fact that there's some errors within the settings that you may actually wish to change. So for example, common ones that we get is these dates are available, but you need to contact us for a price. This basically means the time period that you've selected as a start date, and there is a short break band over that period, but there's a price missing for it. So it means you've allowed the length to stay within your short break red band, but you haven't entered the price for it within the corresponding blue price band. And also, say, for example, we mentioned in terms of if you wanted to offer more than 7 nights, for example, 7+ nights, as mentioned, if you go and select 8 nights, if you select 8 nights, it's available, but there's no corresponding price because there's no 1 night stay pricing within your price band. That means that there's no pricing available. So that's the reason behind getting that error. These days available, but you need to contact us for a price. The second option is due to planned maintenance. We're accepting new bookings starting on or after the 1st of July 2021. This will appear basically if you have a start date for when bookings can only be accepted from. So under the settings of your property, there's an option, don't accept arrival before box. You can actually go in and add in a custom message explaining why you don't accept arrivals before this date. This is useful for if you've got a new property that you've added, but it's not available until a later stage, because only then will you be finished doing whatever planned maintenance you have, for example. The third option, please ensure that you have contacted office to check the latest availability for the property before proceeding to the booking. This is within a box on your property setting page. Again, it's under the check availability before booking, and there's an option to select that, and if you select that to yes, this is what appears. So it basically says you don't allow bookings online. You have to check your availability. And then the last one, online bookings must be placed at least XX days before arrival. Again, this box appears when on your property settings page you've specified how close to the arrival date you would allow a booking to be placed. The message comes up, if you accept online bookings, you can select the number of days you allow. So for example, you can say only 2 days prior or something, because it makes it easier for you to be available or ensure that you've got everything set up to take such a last minute booking, for example. Just I wanted to go over a couple of common issues in terms of things that we are asked at support. Why is the price different to the price that I was expecting? Sometimes what happens is that you could have enabled per person pricing without being aware of it, where there are different prices that are quoted depending on how many guests are selected during a booking. So if the price sometimes seems unexpected, I would suggest that you go and amend the guest numbers and see if your pricing changes. Sometimes people have added in per person pricing without knowing that they've done it. So always check that. That was the first option. Sometimes people ask us if they have got per person pricing enabled, how does it actually calculate if you've only put in prices for like 2 people and 4 people, for example? So what happens is if a guest was trying to select for 1 person, what happens is that if you only had 2-person and 4-person pricing, it would give you 2-person pricing for the one. And if you selected anything between 2 and 4, it would select 4 pricing, for example. So if you selected 3 guests, it would give you a 4-person price. A third one, why is the price quoted higher than expected? So what happens is that often a price higher than expected, maybe because you've got a set minimum price specified in your price planner. So on your price planner tab, you have towards the top left-hand corner, kind of next to where you can change your dates, there's a minimum price. And basically this minimum price is a fail-safe. It's there to protect against the price of a booking falling too low due to a discount, or maybe even within your price planner, you've gone and mistyped a price. So say, for example, what I did where I typed in £1,000 instead of 100. Another question, for example, why isn't a longer stay than X nights allowed? So what happens is that within your settings, and this could be specific to your area as well, so do remember that there's a setting that determines the maximum length of your stay that you actually offer. Another thing is, have you actually got availability? Have you not got a booking that is impeding? Last question, why are settings in my orange short break banks, my price planner, being overridden? Okay, this is an example of that one that I mentioned before in terms of the late availability short break option. If it's activated, it obviously allows you to offer different settings for short break minimum and maximum for a specified number of days prior to arrival on that rolling basis. So say, for example, if it wasn't set to naught, it was set to 3 days, and a person was trying to book within the next 3 days and they were being offered a short break shorter than what you'd normally have, that would be the reason why. So say, for example, I set that to 3, and within the next 3 days, I saw that I was offering a 2-night minimum when I usually only offer 3-night minimum. That's what it's got to do with. It's your late availability short break options.